Amara fell to the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. Her heart shattered into pieces as the harsh words echoed in her ears. "Stick leg! Stick leg!" The children laughed, pointing cruelly at her unusually long legs. It wasn't the first time. But today the words cut deeper than ever. She buried her face in her hands, her thin shoulders trembling with pain. Why was she so different? When Amara was born, the entire compound danced with joy. Her cries were soft like the morning breeze, and her eyes sparkled like sunlight on clean water. Women from neighboring huts came bearing gifts of palm oil and wrappers. Her mother, Neka, sang as she breastfed her, calling her "my rainbow" after the storm. 4 years she and her husband had prayed for another child, and now the heavens had answered. But joy has a short life when sorrow is determined to stay. Just 3 months later, Amara's mother fell gravely ill. Her chest rattled like an empty calabash, and her eyes turned yellow. One quiet night, as the moon watched in silence, Neka took her last breath with baby Amara in her arms. The house that once danced with laughter became a hollow shadow of its former self. Her elder sister, Chika, only 7 at the time, held baby Amara close while their father wept like a broken man. As Amara grew, the people noticed her beauty and height. Her smooth caramel skin, sparkling eyes, and ever-growing limbs made her stand out. First they marveled. "See how tall this girl is becoming. Like a royal maiden from the skies," the elders said. But admiration soon turned into whispers. Her legs stretched faster than the rest of her body. They became long, too long, in the eyes of the villagers. "That girl," they'd whisper behind her back, "she walks like a giraffe. Her legs are longer than the palm tree." They laughed, pointed, and some even avoided her like she carried a curse. The pressure on Baba Amara grew heavier with every passing day. Neighbors said, "You need a woman in the house. These girls need a mother." Tired of loneliness and the constant talk, he gave in and married a widow named Mrs. Azuka. At first the family smiled again. Mrs. Azuka cooked warm meals and helped braid Chika's hair. But it didn't last. Soon her true nature began to show. He turned cold. She gave Amara and Chika angry stares and barely spoke kindly to them. Baba Amara, a humble tailor, often traveled to the neighboring village to sell his hand-stitched clothes. Sometimes he stayed for 2, even 3 days. During his absence, the real torment began. Mrs. Azuka turned the girls into her personal servants, fetching heavy buckets of water from the stream far down the hill, even at night, scrubbing the entire compound floor with a small sponge till their backs ached, pounding dry yam in the mortar without rest until their small arms felt like breaking. Chika struggled. She was small and always fell sick. But Amara was strong and smart, and Mrs. Azuka hated her most for it. "I will tell Papa when he comes back," Amara once said boldly after being slapped. But Mrs. Azuka grabbed her by the ear, twisting it until Amara cried out. "Leg like an Irako tree," she hissed. "You talk too much." She yanked Amara over her knees and spanked her hard. Amara cried, screamed, but no one came. Later that night, Amara and Chika huddled together, their cheeks wet with tears. "Don't worry, Chika," Amara whispered. "When Papa comes back, I will tell him everything." Chika only gave a small, broken nod. But evil has many faces. The day Baba Amara returned from the village, joy flickered in Amara's chest. She waited eagerly by the corner, ready to tell him everything. Mrs. Azuka, watching from the window, quickly devised a wicked plan. She took the steaming hot pot of soup from the fire and placed it carefully at the edge of the table, where it was barely balanced. "Amara, come and help me carry this soup inside," she called sweetly. Unsuspecting, Amara obeyed. The pot burned through the thin rag she used. Her hands sizzled in pain and she screamed. The soup slipped, splattering on the ground. Mrs. Azuka wailed immediately. "My soup! My soup! This stubborn child has poured away my food." Just then, Baba Amara walked in, tired and dusty. "What happened here?" he asked. "She did it," Mrs. Azuka sobbed, falling to her knees. These children don't help me. They are lazy. They hate me. I've tried my best as a mother. Amara tried to speak, but Baba raised his hand. Enough, he barked. Why are you always causing trouble, Amara? Her voice died in her throat. She looked at her burnt hand. Chika stood in a corner, too frightened to speak. Her heart broke. No one believed her. Again. That night, Papa Amara sat the girls down under the flickering light of their kerosene lamp. His face was stern, his voice sharp. Chika Amara, he said, pointing at them with a heavy hand, you must learn to respect and obey your stepmother. She is your mother now. No more arguments. Amara's lips quivered. But Papa. Keep quiet, Amara, he snapped before she could finish. Her words died in her throat. Her heart dropped like a stone. Chika looked away, eyes filled with silent sympathy but powerless. Days turned into weeks, and Mrs. Azuka, now pregnant, grew worse in her cruelty. One hot afternoon, she screamed Amara's name so loud it startled the goats in the yard. You useless girl! Where is the pot I told you to wash? Amara stammered. I washed it and kept it under the table, Mama Azuka. You call that washing? So you want to poison me and my unborn child? She yelled, grabbing a stick and lunging at her. Amara's heart pounded. Without thinking, she took off. Her long legs carried her swiftly across the compound, through the banana grove and past the goats. She was too fast for Mrs. Azuka to catch. But Mrs. Azuka, swollen with pregnancy and rage, chased after her anyway. Come back here, witch! Ran. Her foot caught on a root. She screamed and fell hard to the ground, clutching her belly. 2 weeks later, Mrs. Azuka suffered a miscarriage. The doctor explained gently. It was due to some underlying complications. It happens sometimes. But Mrs. Azuka wouldn't hear it. I told you, she spat, pointing at Amara who stood trembling. She's cursed. She ruined me. Papa Amara stood frozen in silence. Chika held Amara's hand tightly. The nurse handed Mrs. Azuka her medicine and said, Please, madam, take this. And don't hold hate in your heart. Stress is dangerous. But Mrs. Azuka's eyes burned with hate. She ignored the nurse's wisdom. Years passed. Eventually, Mama Azuka had another child, a baby girl she named Obianuju. She clutched the baby like gold and spoiled her like a queen. Obanuju had everything. Silk dresses, shiny beads, golden bangles. Mummy, I want that calabash, she would whine, even if it belonged to another child. You'll have it, my darling, Mama Azuka always said. She never corrected her daughter. Obanuju grew up greedy, proud, and arrogant. She snatched other children's things and hoarded them. She refused to share food or toys. If she's better than everyone, let her stay better, Mama Azuka would say proudly when the neighbors complained. She made sure her daughter sat in front in school, walked in front at festivals, and never mingled with commoners. The 3 girls grew older. Chika blossomed into a graceful and outgoing young woman, loved by all for her smile and kindness. Amara, once full of life, now walked with her head down. Her eyes were always sad. She barely spoke. The teasing never stopped. Stick leg. Stick leg. The village children still jeered. Her stepmother and Obianuju fueled the gossip. No man will marry her, Mrs. Azuka would say loudly at the market. Look at those legs. She's cursed. And Obianuju would sneer. She looks like a broom. And just like her mother, Obianuju became wicked and proud, unbothered by anyone's pain but her own. She ruled the compound with her nose in the air, while Amara remained in the shadows, forgotten and broken. Obianuju made things worse. Not only did she spread lies, she twisted the truth into poison, telling everyone that Amara was a witch who killed her own mother. She's an unfortunate being, Obianuju would whisper behind Amara's back. Look at her legs. No normal child grows like that. One hot afternoon, Amara was returning from the farm with a heavy bundle of firewood balanced on her head. Dust clung to her legs, her ponytail puffs sagged with sweat, and she hummed quietly to herself to stay strong. As she turned the corner near the village well, she saw Obianuju and her friend standing in the path, gossiping and giggling. Amara kept her head down and tried to walk past without a word. But Obianuju sneered. "Can't you greet, palm tree leg?" They both burst into laughter. Before Amara could respond, one of the girls reached up and shoved the firewood from her head. It crashed to the ground in a cloud of dust and dry sticks. "You're a witch," the other girl screamed. "Which girl?" "The one that killed her mama." Then, with a swift motion, Obianuju's friend pushed Amara to the ground. Amara scrambled up, her knees scraped, her eyes glistening with tears. She looked at Obianuju with disbelief. "Obianuju," she said softly, "we are sisters. Why are you doing this to me?" Obianuju smirked. "Sister? You? Never. You're a witch and unfortunate. That's what you are." That evening, Amara sat in the kitchen with Chika, her voice trembling as she recounted everything. Chika's eyes burned with fury. "She did what?" Chika snapped. "That wicked girl." Without hesitation, Chika marched straight to Obianuju's compound. "Obianuju, Auntie Azuka, you've gone too far. If anything ever happens to Amara again, I will make sure Papa hears every word." And she did. Chika went home and told their father everything. The next day, Papa Amara called for a family meeting. Everyone gathered in the small sitting room, the air tense. "We must stop this fighting," he said, his voice heavy. "We are one family. We must protect one another, not tear each other down. Amara has suffered enough." But Mama Obianuju only crossed her arms, her lips tight with impatience. Obianuju yawned, picking at her nails. They waited for the lecture to end like it was market noise. And when it ended, they continued as if nothing had changed. A week later, something unusual happened. Papa Amara returned from the market holding a plastic bag. He entered the compound smiling. "Amara, Chika, come outside." The two girls rushed out, curious. From the bag, he pulled out a long, elegant pair of trousers, one that could fit Amara's long legs perfectly. Then came a beautiful shirt, bright and clean. "For you, Amara," he said, placing them in her hands. Amara's eyes widened. "For me," she whispered. "Yes," he smiled. "I saw it and remembered my beautiful daughter. I'm sorry for being too busy lately. I should have protected you better." Amara jumped and danced, hugging her father tight. Chika joined in, and the three of them sat laughing and talking together under the mango tree. In that moment, even if the whole village mocked her, Amara felt seen, safe and loved. But someone was watching. Through the wooden window slats, Mama Obianuju stood with narrowed eyes. Jealousy burned in her heart like hot pepper. So they're enjoying without me and my daughter. See how Chika talks to me now, as if I'm her age. She even had the guts to report me to her father. "No problem," she said with a bitter hiss. "I will deal with the two of them." Amara was now having the best time of her life. Ever since Papa Amara had reduced his traveling due to his age, the compound had felt whole again. He spent more time with his daughters, and his quiet presence brought peace. Amara glowed with happiness. "I don't need fake crowd," she would often say with a laugh. "I just want to be with those who genuinely love me." She and Chika were inseparable. They sang together, danced together, played in the yard, and went to the stream hand in hand, chatting and laughing like children. With Chika's presence beside her, no one dared mock Amara's legs anymore. The girls went to the farm together, worked side by side, climbed trees and plucked fruits, eating them while giggling under the sun-drenched sky. They were more than sisters, they were best friends. One quiet afternoon, a young man came to the house. His name was Obina, Chika's fiancé. They had been planning their marriage for months, and the day was drawing near. Obina sat on the bench under the mango tree, fanning himself with a woven leaf. When Mama Obianuju passed by, he greeted her kindly. "Good afternoon, Ma." She hissed and walked away, pretending not to hear. Amara and Chika soon joined him outside. The three of them chatted, laughed, and told stories. Their laughter floated through the air like music, piercing Mama Obianuju's heart like a thorn. She watched from inside, her eyes dark with jealousy. After a while, it was time for Obina to leave. Chika and Amara walked with him down the path to the village gate. As they strolled, Obina leaned in and asked, "Why is that woman always so bitter?" "Don't mind her," Chika replied with a sigh. "She's just always been that way." Amara chuckled softly, then slowed her steps and waited beneath the big tree while Chika and Obina stepped aside to talk in private. She watched them quietly. "See how happy they look together," she whispered to herself. "My sister is the luckiest girl in the whole village. She is beautiful, and now she's marrying her long-time crush." A soft sigh escaped her lips. She placed her hands gently on her thighs and stared at her long legs. "God, will anybody ever love me? Will someone ever look at me and smile the way Obina looks at Chika? Will anyone ever see beyond my legs and into my heart? Or am I just meant to be alone forever?" That night, as the moon hung low in the sky, Amara sat outside, hugging her knees to her chest. The compound was quiet. The only sound was the chirping of crickets and the gentle rustle of leaves. Chika came out and found her sitting alone. "Amara, what's wrong?" she asked, kneeling beside her. Amara turned her face away, her voice trembling. "Any time I remember you'll soon get married and leave me. It breaks my heart." A tear rolled down her cheek. "I'll be alone again." Chika reached out and gently wiped the tear from her sister's face. "Stop crying," she whispered. "No matter what happens, I'll always be with you. Even if we are far apart, the bond between us can never break." Amara looked at her. "Do you think God will ever give me someone too?" she asked, glancing at her long legs with sadness. "Someone who will love me like this?" Chika held her hand and smiled through her own tears. "Yes, because true beauty is not what people see at first glance, it's what your heart carries. You are kind, strong, loyal, and full of light. That is the kind of beauty that never fades." Amara stared into the night sky, her heart full of hope, her eyes full of tears. She whispered, "Amen." One breezy afternoon, Chika sat alone outside the compound, braiding her hair under the shade of the mango tree. The day was peaceful, until a sudden sound of weeping broke the quiet. She looked up. To her shock, Mama Obianuju was walking toward her, crying openly. Her wrapper was loose, her feet dusty, and her eyes swollen with tears. She dropped to her knees beside Chika. "Please, please forgive me," she cried, clutching Chika's feet. "I have wronged you. I have wronged your sister. My heart was full of jealousy and bitterness. I didn't know what I was doing." Chika blinked, confused. Mama Obianuju continued. Her voice cracked with guilt. "I was foolish. I let anger control me. I was afraid. Afraid that my daughter would be left behind, that no one would love her. But that was no excuse. I hurt two innocent girls who never did anything to me. Please, I'm begging you, forgive me." Just then Amara stepped outside. She saw the strange scene and froze. "What's going on?" she asked. Mama Obianuju looked up at her and sobbed louder. "Please, my daughter. I treated you like dirt. I insulted you, I called you names that no child deserves to hear. But I am sorry. From the bottom of my heart, I am sorry." Amara stood stunned. A part of her felt something was off, but as days passed, Mama Obianuju's actions seemed to confirm her sincerity. She began treating them like her own daughters. She cooked their favorite meals, swept the compound, and insisted they all ate together. For the first time ever, they joked, laughed, and shared meals like a united family. One afternoon, Mama Obianuju looked at Amara and said, "You are such a beautiful girl." Amara's heart lifted. No one had ever said that to her, least of all the woman who once mocked her. She smiled with genuine joy. Mama Obianuju smiled back and said warmly, "Call me mother." Amara and Chika looked at each other, surprised but happy. They nodded slowly. But not everyone was smiling. Obianuju stormed into the backyard where her mother sat. "What are you doing, Mama?" she shouted. "You're putting me on the same level with those girls. You're letting them eat the same food as me, calling you mother. Do you want me to be disrespected?" Mama Obianuju looked up, calm but firm. "Obianuju, you are still a child. You don't know anything about this world yet," she said. Then she stood and walked away without another word. Obianuju's fists clenched. Her face burned with rage. "This is madness," she hissed. "You're embarrassing me. You want those fools to shine more than me. I will never accept this." But Mama Obianuju continued being the perfect mother. Sweet, generous, humble. She complimented the girls, fetched water, helped with cooking, and blessed their heads before they left the house. One evening she looked at Chika and smiled. "Let me make your hair, my daughter." Chika was overjoyed. She took a stool and sat. Mama Obianuju gently combed her hair, oiled her scalp, and even trimmed her nails with care. "I never thought this day would come," Chika said. "Thank you, Mama." Mama Obianuju smiled. But that smile was hiding a snake. Later that night, under the cover of darkness, Mama Obianuju appeared before a native doctor deep in the forest. She dropped a small leather pouch on the mat. "This is the hair and the nails, just like you asked." The native doctor nodded and took the items. He dropped the hair into a small black clay pot filled with oil and crushed herbs. He lit a small fire under it and began to chant. As the pot bubbled, he spoke. "From this day, any man who looks at her will feel sudden disgust. He will grow uncomfortable. He will run from her spirit like a curse. No man will settle with her." Mama Obianuju smiled coldly, pleased. "Perfect," she whispered. She dropped some cowries into a small bowl, paid him and stood. "Let me see how those stupid girls will marry before my daughter." Back at the compound, Amara and Chika had no idea what had just been done. They saw Mama Obianuju returning and ran to welcome her. "Mama, welcome." They brought her a chair and served her food with so much joy on their faces. They laughed as they set the table under the stars, full of gratitude, unaware that the same hands that braided their hair had just cursed their future. The day for Chika's introduction finally came, and the village was buzzing with excitement. Colorful wrappers, shimmering lace gowns, coral beads, and shining head ties filled the compound. Women carried trays of steaming jollof rice, pepper soup, and fried meat, while the air was heavy with the scent of perfume and freshly cooked delicacies. Chika herself was breathtaking, her caramel skin glowing under the sun, adorned in a royal blue George wrapper with gold embroidery, matching blouse, coral beads on her neck, wrists, and hair tied in an elegant updo. When Obina and his family arrived, the drums rolled and the talking drums sang his name. Smiles and greetings filled the air, and the introduction began. Laughter and playful teasing flowed between families, drinks were shared, cola nuts presented, until Obina's face suddenly hardened. He stood abruptly, silence falling over the crowd. "I am ending this now," he said sharply. Murmurs rippled through the gathering. "What are you talking about?" one of the elders asked. "Have we offended you?" Chika's uncle added. "Did someone say something wrong?" her aunt pressed. Obina's gaze darted around, his voice firm and strange. "I am no longer interested." Then, without another word, he turned and started running. The crowd erupted in shock, some chasing after him, others calling his name. But Obina didn't look back. In the chaos, Mama Obianuju sat in a corner, her lips curling into a faint smile of satisfaction that no one noticed. Chika stood frozen, her mind struggling to catch up to what just happened. Papa Amara and Amara rushed to her side, holding her hands, whispering that everything would be fine. Even Mama Obianuju came over, feigning concern, but her eyes held a secret only she knew. Then Chika's chest heaved, and she let out a sharp cry, collapsing into uncontrollable sobs. The pain burned through her like salt and pepper rubbed into an open wound. Papa Amara was bewildered. Something was wrong, but he had no idea what. Day after day, Chika and Amara tried Obina's number, but it never connected. He had blocked them completely. Chika's world dimmed. She stopped leaving the house, stopped talking, her once bright laughter now replaced with silence. Papa Amara and Amara tried everything to lift her spirit, but the heartbreak cut too deep. Obina was her first love, and she had built her dreams around him. Now all she saw was the humiliation her father endured, the whispers of the villagers, and the emptiness inside her chest. Her body grew weak, her face thin. She tried to heal, but each attempt failed. Slowly, life seeped out of her until one morning she was gone. The wailing that filled the compound was enough to pierce the heavens. Papa Amara beat his chest, rolling in the dust, crying out Chika's name. Amara clung to her sister's lifeless body, screaming until her voice broke. The women of the village wept openly, some whispering that such beauty should not have ended this way. Mama Obianuju pretended to cry, but her tears were dry. Weeks passed in heavy silence. Amara often sat by the fire, knees pulled to her chest, staring at the flames. She had lost her sister, her friend, her only true companion. Now she was alone. Months later, on a market day, Amara was walking down the dusty road when a sleek black car stopped beside her. The door opened, and a well-dressed man stepped out. "How may I help you?" she asked coldly. "Are you from this village?" he asked. "Yes," she replied simply. "My name is Mr. Ben," he said with a smile. "I'm a sports coach. I heard there's a golden player in the unshakable team, so I came to see if he qualifies for our sponsorship." It sounded strange to Amara. She knew nothing about sports. "You have an athletic frame," he said, his eyes scanning her. "Your long legs are perfect for basketball, speed, balance, endurance. You could dominate the court." "I don't know anything about sports," she replied flatly. "That's why we're here, to train you to be great," he said, his tone encouraging. "Sounds great, but not to me," she said, turning away. Mr. Ben watched her walk off, a quiet thought crossing his mind. Maybe we will meet again.